Getting involved with it. Before you get excited and decide you want to be a part of it, understand what the time commitment is. The time. Right? Whether you're an individual athlete or a team athlete, if you cannot understand what your time commitment is in the world of CrossFit to be able to be competitive and win competitions, you'll never win competitions. Because there's guys with sometimes, with lightly used names as Rich Froning and others of his sorts as Ben Smith, who their time commitment is called all the time. They do a training program and it's called all the time. Right? There's only very few out there, like Scott Panchik, who say that they go in and train for an hour and a half, an hour or so a day. They do one session and they're out. Right? There's only a few of those guys. Is anybody in here one of those guys? You're into the one session. What's your number, Brody? Okay. But in that one session, you can get good enough to be a hobbyist that competes for fun and does well enough for yourself at the local competition, and then slowly decide what that time commitment would need to look like to enhance your level of competitiveness. Does that make sense? You go in, you feel it out, you understand all these individual and or your team. You start to realize, like, hey, man, I went to a couple local comps and did pretty good. Maybe if I invested a little more time, I could do better. Or, you know what, I'm not really into the individual thing, it's not good enough, but I take a great team player. We're going to talk about that here in the middle, as far as CrossFit team players are concerned, fast fitness. So what's your time commitment? Like, who in here has 3 hours a day available to train? And now training can mean that you're not only here for an hour and a half, you're in a pool, you're running at a track, your ability to go out and do other sports at a very high level. Yeah, not many. So that's why I bring this reality seminar to people, is to let them know, like, hey guys, don't ruin what you love so much about your experience when you come into the CrossFit gym. Whatever brought you to South Loop or train over River North or over River North, there's something special there. And the second you start to make competition, what is so special about it, you lose it. And it becomes really hard to come back to. Because it's not River North or South Loop's fault if you're not doing well in competition. It's not the program. It's the person. You know what I mean? Like, and I know this is on camera, and I'll state a really aggressive statement. There is probably less than you can count on one hand, possibly even 4 or maybe 3 fingers. Any one coach that's responsible wholeheartedly for the outcome and performance of their athlete, their individual athlete. There's probably a lot of coaches on that if they were to see this, they would be pissed off and argue against me. But it's just the truth. It's just the truth. Unless you had a boxer since he was 6, and you taught him how to jab and cross, you still can only take so much credit because he still had to show up to the gym. He still had to be able to take what you said. Now, it takes a Phil Jackson to be able to put that talent together and win games, right? Good coaches can win games. Good coaches can develop talent. Good coaches cannot create talent. Talent is either there and a good coach uncovers it, or it doesn't exist. Does that make sense? It's like they said about Ricky Williams in football, or they said about Shannon Briggs in boxing. These were 2 dudes, like, they said they had all the talent in the world to be the greatest ever. Like, Shannon Briggs was supposed to be one of the greatest heavyweights of all time. Well, shoulda, woulda, coulda. If he was that talented, he would have, but he didn't, so he wasn't. Right? That's just the way it goes. Muhammad Ali shoulda, woulda, did, coulda, and was. That's the difference. So they say you can shoulda all over yourself all day long. All right? So understanding the time commitment. And it's going to be up to you to understand what that's going to take to make you better. All right, Dan, how many days a week do you train?
I try to hit 5.
5 days a week, come in for class, do a little extra credit, do anything else on your own?
I'll cycle on the weekends.
Okay. So Dan knows that he can at least commit to 1 hour a day. If he were to now define his duties, got clear on what he was, what the purpose of this competition was, and he defined his expectations, he can say, you know what, I don't care with just staying at 1 hour a day. I'm going to keep it fun and keep it exciting, and maybe a month before the competition, I'll do X extra. Because when we did all this stuff, I committed that I'm going to also row. I'm going to row a 5K 2 days a week. God knows why you'd ever do that, but let's just say you did. I'm going to row a 5K 2 days a week, and I'm going to run 2 days a week, just to get that kind of distance conditioning in. And maybe because you want to, I don't know, get a little bit better at rowing before the competition, because you heard there's rowing, right? So he understands it's kind of rarely you people say, hey, there's a competition coming up, I'm just going to stay the same. I'm just going to stay the same. Rarely does that happen. So time commitment is so important. Get down lower in the list. The next thing you need to do, whether you're the coach or part of the team, is you have to understand, you need to follow progress. You need to follow progress. Who in here journals their workouts? Keep track of your information. So like, just an example, your journals, everybody's different. How do you track your progress? Do you catalog your workouts up? Do you journal them?
Yeah.
I'll chip in since I do design for a song. I have a spreadsheet for all my athletes with about 50 assorted benchmarks, and that's generally what I use.
You're following progress. Yeah, whether you're doing it for yourself or your coach is doing it for you. When, if you're an individual athlete and you have a coach, that's great. This is usually they'll hold you accountable and follow your progress. If you're an individual athlete and you kind of coach yourself, let's just say Dan's saying I'm going to do these extra things, and he's just going to follow his progress by saying, hey, when I first started doing 5K rows, I was rowing them in however many minutes it takes to row a 5K. I wouldn't know because I don't row 5Ks unless you challenge me or go for score 5. But the idea is, if he doesn't know if he's getting any better, how often is he going to want to row a 5K? Not that often. You'll get to a point where it's just like monotonous, which is why you don't like going to the gym alone, which is why you stopped training, which is why you're so excited to come back to the world of CrossFit. You're being held accountable, the progress was being tracked, you had a rhyme or reason to what you were doing. But following progress is important. Now some of us, if you have a little bit of a savant mind, we can remember that kind of stuff. Who in here doesn't journal workouts? You guys all do? Good for you, man. Don't follow the leader. All right. I don't journal my workouts. Now we have a team document, like Todd does, where we have all these benchmarks on it, and we punch our numbers in there. All right. I don't keep my own journal as I should. All right. I just personally, I log it in other ways, but in my head, I know exactly where I'm at as an athlete. Not everybody has that ability. So, if you guys already understand, this is what's so cool about CrossFit, is that you're already taught. Part of our educational process is to learn how to follow progress. That does not happen in a lot of other sports. Where they learn how to follow progress. And go down. Now, this is more for a coach. This one's going to be more for a coach. So, number 5 is follow progress. Number 6 is you need to follow through. Okay? So, as you read down this, you understand time commitment, you understand what it is, you've all decided that you're going to follow your progress, you can decide where you start, you can decide where you're going. But once you've decided on 1 through 5, on 6 you have to actually follow through. Alright? Anybody can log day 1 where you're at. We did Diane, we did Fran, we did max rep pull-up, we did max bench press, we did all these other things. Well, great. What's the follow-through now? Tracking it. What are we setting out? We're going to calendar what's next. So say what's next. Oh, in 4 weeks from now, we're going to come back together as a team. And I'm speaking specifically of what Brick does. we're going to come back together. We're going to try this particular workout again, either collectively as a team style workout, or we're going to do benchmarks individually. We're going to go in and test 15 minutes to find your 1 rep max clean jerk. We're going to do a 15-minute to find this. We're going to do 6 minutes for max rep box jump burpees. So we're going to do all these different things. Come back to it, and then we'll follow our progress again. And then once we do that, we go back into number 4, and we reevaluate what? The time commitment. Because if you are going to track your progress, you follow through, but you didn't progress, you might need to revisit what your commitment is in the gym and all the ones proceeding.